Hello! Welcome to Ivanna's Norsk life. Happy New Year, and I hope you had a really great holidays and are ready to rock this year. Only a few days into the new year 2023, and it is so cold, so snowy, so dark outside. So this is really Norway in the way it is. And if you still want to move to Norway, live in Norway, then this video is very important for you. Because in today's video, as the first video of this year, I want to start it with giving you some advices and recommendations on the two mistakes that I see people do when they apply for different roles in company, and I want to help you to avoid them. So what you shouldn't do when you're applying for a job in a company. Don't forget to subscribe, hit the like button, and write your thoughts about things that we will talk today in this video, and maybe some other questions that you have that I haven't answered but should have. Let's start the vlog. Disclaimer. In this video, we are not talking about mistakes that you can do on the interview or anywhere else in the job search process. We only talk about mistakes that you probably are doing, or maybe you will see yourself doing the same things at the moment when you decide to which role to apply and how you apply to the roles, open roles in the companies. So this is what this video is about. You may disagree with what I will present in this video, but remember, it is only based on my experience and it's more likely suitable for the smaller companies. So if you had a different experience, please share it in the comments. It will be interesting for other people to read about that, and for me as well. Let's start with the mistake number one. So mistake number one is when you're applying for a job in the same company, you apply for more than one role, and usually they are different in nature or they require a bit different mindset. I don't know, have you done anything like that? Have you ever applied to multiple roles in the same company? I personally did that, but in reality, I remember it can be a bit hard to understand what is the difference between data analysis, data scientist, hopefully data engineer you shouldn't put there. But for some people, it sounds like machine learning engineer, right? Which one do you suit best? Or what if I just apply for every single of these positions and then they will pick me up? I actually did for one, before finding this job, for one of the companies, they had openings for data analyst and data scientist, and when I looked at the description, I was like, oh, I actually fit in both of these positions in my mind. So I have applied to both of them. In reality, I wasn't selected for the interview process. I never received anything back to me, and now I understand why. Let's talk why this can happen. Of course, remember that it can differ between companies. So I'm saying only on their experience that I have myself, and unfortunately I haven't worked in that many companies to be able to generalize it well, but I'm quite sure that still, if you think about this a bit more globally, it makes sense a bit. In the recent years, many companies started to have this open job application. So what does it mean? It's like when you want to work in this company, but you are not sure to which of the roles you suit best for, and this open vacancy you can use for that. So when you're applying for job, if you see that you can fit more than one of the positions and they have this open vacancy, I would recommend you to submit it to the open vacancy role. Also, what you can do before actually submitting an application, you can take a contact with the company and talk to them a bit and clarify which of the roles maybe you like a bit more, and then apply and go for that role. If you're a really strong candidate, most likely company will look at you and will invite you for the interview. But also when you see different roles. Like for instance, if you look on the business analyst and data scientist, it's kind of, you can have a technical skill set that is very similar, but in the mindset you should be quite different person, and you have a bit different interests for both of these positions. And especially when we talk a bit about smaller companies, of course you want to have a person who fits in the position and who is motivated to do what they need to do. And if you have a high competition for the position, I'm not sure if you will go for inviting a person who tries to apply for any single position in the company, because then the question is, oh, is it that the person so desperate that they want a job, or they just don't care what to do, they just want to be paid? So it's like, what is the motivation for applying for so many roles? And it's also, especially in the data or like IT sector, in the data related fields, it's also a question, how are you able to evaluate yourself and position yourself in the role that you are applying to? And with these words, we are moving to the mistake number 2. It's about selecting wrong position for your skill set. And this is usually, at least from what I've seen, quite often it can be related in the doing too little research or no research at all about the company into which you're trying to apply for job. And what do I mean? So I'm a team lead for the data team, right? So everyone who is working in my team, they're working with the data related tasks. It can be machine learning, it can be data mining, can be slightly a bit of data engineering, data analysis with the business direction. It can be data analysis in a different directions, like bidding, natural language processing, and so on. So as you can see, the skill sets here can be shared, but also sometimes it can be a bit confusing which role you actually are supposed to select. Imagine that we are searching at the same time a data scientist for NLP and data scientist for bidding. Would you apply for both of them? Or how do you select which one suits you most? Correct? So for instance, for bidding, you need to have more statistics and more mathematical knowledge, or like more analytical perspective there. But in the NLP, probably you need to check at least the languages that the company works with. You don't know what is bidding probably, right? So you need to check what is actually the domain. So when we talk about bidding, the domain makes a huge role, and I've seen only a few candidates who actually did the research on the domain of the role they were applying to. And believe me, checking if you don't have prior experience, or you have too little experience, or you have experience from different domain and you have no idea what this company is dealing with, it will make your interview, if you get ever to the interview process, most likely it will make it very hard. So doing research about the company, what company is doing, what are the domains that company has, asking additional questions about this before you apply also may help you to understand whether you need to do it. So instead of applying open position and just submit the button, I would recommend instead spending much more time on investigating, looking at the company, researching what company does, trying to look at your skill set. Do you have the most critical ones for the positions you try to apply, and then only apply for the role. You will, even in this process, you will already know, what if you don't like this company? What if you started doing research and in reality you don't like this company? For instance, I had one of the interviews that in the very beginning that I had, it was my mistake not doing a good research about the company at that point. But the sad part was that I went through the first round of the interviews, I went through the second round of the interviews, and on the second round of the interviews, what was very sad to me, that I understood that I was much more motivated than the CTO of the company. It was very surprising to me. I understood that I'm not fitting well culturally in this mind, so I cannot work like that. Yes, the company was interesting, and probably you say, but how can I know it if I don't do how can I know it before I meet that person? But then afterwards, what I did, I started to do a bit more of the research on the company, and I found that they are very fresh company. Yes, they got a lot of money, they managed to raise a huge amount of money. They had a relevant for me domain that was very interesting for me, but it was only two people working there, only two people, which of those was CEO and CTO, and that's all. So it was, for me personally, for me, too small company. And if I did this research about the company before, I would save time for them, time for me, because every time when you apply for such positions, you also work on your CV. You need to make upgrades to your CV, you need to write cover letters and so on. So doing research about the companies beforehand is extremely useful, it's extremely important, and it will help you in the job search process. So let's sum up everything together. The mistake number one is applying to multiple roles in the same company, especially if the company is small. People talk between each other, and it's very easy to figure out that that person is applying to different roles, and usually it brings much more questions to that person that probably you don't want to have in the very beginning when we look through the CVs. And then second mistake, it is don't do or do too little research about the company and then apply into a wrong role for yourself because you do too little research about the company. Thank you for watching until the end. I hope this was interesting for you. Don't forget to subscribe, hit the like button, write your comments, and help these videos to lift up and be shown to more people. And see you next time. Bye.